Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sweet Release Healing's Roundtable. I'm Andrea Lovett of Sweet Release Healing, and joining me tonight is my fantastic assistant and producer, Sharon, as well as Spencer, Charity, and Tiffany. Are we very excited?
Yes.
See, this is why we're excited. Because the topic tonight, Starseeds. Because why would I make it not broad? So I'm so sorry, because definitely got messages of, what the fuck am I supposed to talk about with Starseeds? I'm like, anything you want to. Anything you want to. I figured we'd start it off with the fact that Starseeds are not better than anyone else. We just tend to know, quote unquote, better because we've already lived through it. We can be an insufferable group and a huge pain in the ass. I'm not going to lie. I know I did a series on TikTok like last year, maybe even the year before, about the toxic traits of starseeds, and woo, were they pressed. They were so pressed. And I was like, baby, your complaint here is solidifying my point, though. Because one of the more insufferable traits of starseeds, as we know with me, we think we know everything. We think we already know everything. We already have everything together because we already see it ahead of time. We have already lived through it. We already know. And we get impatient with other people who are not at our level, which obviously is a bit silly and a little frustrating for those around us that love us, because we tend to be an impatient group. Confirm or deny, panel?
Well, while looking around or looking and listening to the TikToks, it does definitely seem that people are very quick to be like, well, I'm a starseed, so here's my title, hear me roar, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can see it.
Back in my arrogance, I did the same thing. It's like, I've already done this, though. I've already been on this planet. I've already seen this. How many times? I've already been on planets that have already gone through this. Why do we have to go through it again? Why? And I would get so frustrated. Terry said that Tate should have something to say. She lives with Eric. Lynn says she has the patience of a grain of salt. And Kaylee said, I for sure don't have it together. And Antoinette, no way. Yes, way, ma'am. Yes. Carlene, not me getting mad at Humanity Weekly.
But is it that we think we know everything, or do we actually know everything? So, for instance, on Sunday, I went and I learned Reiki, and the entire time I fought with all of my guides and spirits because they're like, you already know this. Why are we wasting this time? Like, they are just as pushy and impatient as I am through the whole process. And it is absolutely aggravating.
To piggyback on what Tiff is saying, she's not wrong. If you're a starseed here and the majority of your team is off-worlders, they're also going to be like, why are we doing this again? Like, it's right here in your Akashic record. We've already done this. Why do we need to do it again? And it's like, humans like certifications. Humans like letters behind our names because humans don't trust each other. And it's always so funny. And I don't know what experience you guys have with this, so feel free to hop in on it. Every once in a while, I get someone in my team who's like, yeah, I get it. And then someone who goes, wait, what? They don't trust each other. And I'm like, welcome to humanity. Here's your pamphlet. Why don't you sit down and have a cookie? This is going to be a while.
I get that a lot with the labels. Like, why do we have to label everything under the sun? Why does everything have to have a specific name and a little nice package and group to put it in? Like, just let it be and get on with your life.
I get that too. I get but you're all human. But it's just land.
Right.
But they're just animals. I get that too. The why? Why are we making it so complicated? Jenny said orientation starts at 8. Welcome. And Kaylee said humanity is also obsessed with self-importance. That is true. Tiff's just shaking her head. Go ahead, Tiff. Take the floor.
We're not all snowflake special. We're not. We're not. We experience everything in a different way, but for a reason. The whole point of this entire existence is to gain knowledge individually, to do your own thing your own way and take that back to source, because she wants to perceive all of our lives in our individual way to get the most amount of knowledge out of it.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
I don't know.
And
So stop. Just stop. Like, it doesn't need to be this hard. Nothing about this existence needs to be this difficult. We make it difficult.
because it seems really, 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 really real. But, and here's the thing. Starseeds often sit here feeling like we're pretending to be something else that we're not. I often feel like I'm in a play. I'm a character in a play. Often. And I'm like, I know damn well I'm a guest here. I find that frustrating, but also helps me feel better because I'm like, yay! I don't have to take this seriously if I don't want to. So, nana nana boo boo, stick your head in doo doo. We all know I can get a little princessy about shit. And I absolutely do in my whole starseed ass way.
All right.
Lost it. Did we lose her?
We might have.
I
I
think
think while I'm thinking about it, like everyone above me who has like a title, like I think about those people who have titles. I think about teachers. I think about my professors. I have professors that are definitely like, hey, I have a PhD. I earned the title doctor. You must call me doctor, right? And they all have a purpose though. Like there is a purpose for them being above and teaching those down below. And I think that's where starseeds do come in, right? Like they are sent here to help humanity. They have a very clear purpose to help them understand what is needed, that kind of stuff, right? For humanity to be able to ascend and grow. But I think, being a former teacher myself, sometimes teachers are the worst students as well. And like, because we have to learn as well. We have to learn to be able to hold ourselves above. But you like, we get the title and you can't stop learning though, right? And I think some people in Starseeds are very quick to be like, well, I've already done it, so you got to do it again. There's another experience that you could learn. There's another chance that you'll come across it from a different angle. You'll run into someone who needs you this time, right? And this is what I just keep on feeling is like, we may know these things already, but it's not for us to go through it again. It's for the people that we come across, right?
I can see that. But can't fault us for being irritated all the time. Sometimes. That we have to repeat the same thing over and over again. You are all one. You are choosing your reality. You are creating your reality on a daily basis. Act like it. It's frustrating for me to say that over and over and over again to humanity. Not in my sessions, that's different because it's individualized, and not in classes and workshops, but like on the whole, where people ask me questions about starseeds and what can humans do right now. You can act like it. You can act like because you do know on the inside. We all know it. We actually do know it. We all know that we're one. We all know that we have far more in common than we have apart. And that this life is creatable. You have to change your mentality, to change your belief systems. You got to change your perseverance. You got to change some shit, and it's hard, but it's not impossible. It's actually, I think society makes it seem like it's so hard to do. Like I really think it.
I think that's what the most frustrating part is as a starseed, because we know all of these things, because we've said it a million times, and people still don't see it in themselves. And we're going, hey, remember it's there. You can remember it too. You've done this before as well. And it's frustrating when people don't see that they have the abilities to do it as well.
Mm-hmm. Because in a human skin, we're no different from you. We're no different from each other. When we have 2 feet on the ground in this world, on this earth, walking around, no one is different from anyone else. We just have different viewpoints and different perspectives. But I have seen it where somebody's trying to change themselves for the better, you know? And the first thing that happens is all those people around them who really liked them at this level all rise up to drop them down as quickly as possible and pull them back down. Those are the people I worry about the most because they wreak so much havoc on others. Like, starseeds are sitting out here being like, no, dude, you actually can do this. And all these other humans are over here going, but can you? I like you better this way. I like you better small. I like you better taking care of me and making it comfortable for me to not grow. So please stay low. I can see why humanity is frustrated with starseeds just as much as I can see why starseeds are frustrated with humanity.
I think that's hard. I think it's hard when you come from a place like in this human existence, and it's all you know, and it's all these people that are around you, and you know deep down that they're just going to drag you down and drag you through the mud, yet you just stay there with it. It's that fear of either one, change, success, or that you're right all along, and there's actually better things in this world to like work for and to look at and to see. And but I think it is hard for like a lot of people. It's not a comfortable place to be. A lot of times that can feel like really unsafe. I think for people, it's easy to go back to what they knew than to actually like step out and look at things with a different perspective. I think that part is hard, and I have a hard time with the terminology starseed. Like I just because I said, what do you want me to talk about like with that starseeds? I'm like I have a hard time with the terminology. I don't care for it at all, and I don't know why. But I don't know. I think it's hard on both ends, especially like if you're trying to help people out and you're trying to say, hey, this actually would work better if you would look at it from this perspective. And I think the hard part is when you see that person struggling and if they would just remember or believe, it would be better and easier. I think that's a frustrating part too, on the other end of it.
What's your problem with starseed in that term?
I don't know. It's like, for me, it's like all things come from the stars. Like it's not those that were sent to help that have been there and done it before. Like everybody's like, are you a starseed? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, talking about me. I'm like, kind of like, no. I don't like it.
I ask because it rubs me the wrong way too.
Don't like it. I think on it.
I use it because there's no other way to describe it unless I'm going to go off in paragraphs.
Right. Yeah.
So I can totally see it.
Yeah. So I have a hard time with it. I'm like, but we're all made of the stars, and we just some have different tasks and different adventures and different things that they're doing. And if you got a heads up in the game because you've been around for a long time, that's great. I think it has to do with the fact that they use the word star with. I don't know. It's just because we all are. So I know.
I can see what
Not a better
I see
word.
what you're saying. It would make so much more sense if we said things like a Pleiadian seed, a reptilian seed, because the seed is the part of us that's inside the humanity part, right? It would make so much
Right.
more sense. But the problem with that too is that so many of us have been a bunch of different races. We've been a bunch of different species. So how do we even put that together? We're going to look like a fucking alphabet by the time we're done.
Exactly.
It's like, I'm going to be a PARQZ seed. I mean, fuck. What are we
Could it
supposed
just be Can it just be like, hey, I've been around for a long time. Let me tell you something. That's
All right.
it.
I tend to tell people, I'm like, I'm just not from here. And I leave it up to however they see it. And I'm not sure if we saw in the chat what Sharon says. What does spirit say? What does spirit say about the term starseed?
That's always the answer I get when I'm like, hey, am I a starseed? And you're like, not really. Kind of, sort of. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I kind of get a if you want to be kind of a thing. Like,
Yeah, like, if you want to be. And then I
you've been
hear,
around.
you came from the stars. And that's all I hear. That's it. Like, you came from the stars. So what do you want? Kind of from my team, but no, my team's a little. They're rude.
Spicy.
Yeah, it's fun.
In all fairness, I don't think they agree with any kind of labels.
I don't think
it's
so
more
either.
of just of let it be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you were talking about labels earlier. And like I was like, yeah, maybe that's what it is, but I have an issue with me. If other people are like, hey, I'm a starseed, I'm like, cool. But with me, like, to answer that question, because I'm like finding who I am again in my 40s, so it happens. I'm like, it didn't quite fit. And I was just like, okay. But I'm okay with it. Like, I don't know. I'm not okay with the terminology, so that's odd.
I kind of like what you said though, that like when other people say that, because if that is what they need to help keep them moving forward in their progression and their beliefs and their thoughts, let them do it. Let them have that for them. And I agree with that, because we were kind of talking about like how there is a part of humanity that pulls people down and stuff like that. And if that title is going to give them that push for that change that they need to be able to move back up, if that's going to be what it is, let them have that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because,
over that.
Sorry, Spencer, please go ahead.
oh, go ahead. Yeah.
On the flip side of that, there's a piece there of identifying oneself as a starseed that is supposed to bring comfort to humanity, especially those who are struggling. Not necessarily as a label, but very similar to how like an officer wears a uniform. You can go to them for X, Y, and Z. And I say this because there was a time where humanity would identify this by energy. They could tell with the energy of people. It's kind of been lost now. So the penchant was you would go to a starseed in a human skin when you wanted to learn more about their planet, or you wanted to learn about deeper spirituality. You wanted to learn beyond what was taught here, because the starseeds came as educators. They helped with everything that humans needed of how to put the pieces of the puzzle together on this planet and bridge them back to spirit. More like a teacher label than it was as different label. It was more like you went to a starseed because you wanted to learn about the stars, their planet, and how to bridge spirituality. You went to them as a teacher, as an educator for those things. They were a facilitator of knowledge. It wasn't as it's used now to be like, I'm so much fucking better than you and I know better than you, so shut your face and listen to me. Or people who go off into, I'm doing light language and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. It's like, how is that helping? How is that helping? Because at the end of the day, regardless of what you call them, and regardless of their experiences, the souls that have come here to help humanity now, that come from a lot, put it that way, they come from a lot. They've experienced millennia of lifetimes, other places and here, and on the other side. They are here to help. And regardless of what you
Did I
call them,
lose y'all or did we lose her? Okay.
We lost her for a second.
All right.
damn it. It's all
Yeah.
right. It's sorry, am I back now?
Yeah, you're back now.
All right. So regardless of what the label was, it was meant as someone who was going to help you with what you needed. You sought them out.
I'm sitting here thinking, and I kind of wonder, because I kind of blame humanity right now for my lack of labels. Oh, Andrea's talking, but we can't hear her. Oh, she's muted. Okay. Anyway, right now in the US specifically, we have a very weird political system going on, right? And we are very big about labeling, like I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm this, I'm that, I'm whatever, right? And there's a lot of groups that are like, hey, we just want to be recognized as well. And so there's so many people that are trying to label themselves as something, that we've kind of, I think so many people are kind of sick of labels, like, right? And I think we're all trying to get back to that point of like, we're humanity, we're humans, we're all the same, right? We're all on earth, we're all struggling, we all hate this. And I think that's why we're here. But a big part of like, yes, we do know, like when people have labels, we know who to go to. Like we're not going to go to the dentist if our back hurts, right? Like that doesn't make sense. But I think a part of it is we can still show off who we are without having that label or telling people that label, right? Like Starseeds are bright. They are the brightest people. And like, I'll use Andrea as an example. Like I was drawn to Andrea before I knew she was a starseed, right? Like it was her light, her presence, her shining it that drew me to her. It wasn't the title until later, and then I was like, oh, you're a starseed. That makes sense. Cool. So it's impressions first that we have to do now. And that's why it is the most important now for us to shine brightest that we can be through our actions.
Oh, I like that. Shine the brightest that we can through our actions.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
You're right. Like, whether you call yourself one or not, the biggest thing I think is like your light, like so that people can see it. Like, just let me be a beacon. Like, I don't want the label. Just let me be a beacon. That's it. Just let me shine bright. That's it. I guess, and not to like if you like the label, I don't want you to think like I just hate it. It just doesn't work for me, right? Like I hate stupid labels. It's ridiculous. But I think it's it's fantastic though that Spencer brought the point up that if you want to use it, that's fine. But the most important part, Spencer, yeah, you're right, is the light. It's a really good point to that. I guess that's what point is. It doesn't matter what you call it.
I think labels are good as identifiers to understand what you should and could get from them. Like Spencer was saying, you need the label dentist so you know to go there for your teeth. You need like chiropractor, so you know you need to be cracked in all kinds of different ways and make interesting noises. Same with teacher. You need those labels. But I think once we use the labels as a way to divide, that's where it becomes a problem. And if you think about it, humans will do the exact same thing, even down to gender. They will sit there and go, it's masculine or feminine, it's male or female. Any way to divide. And I had this conversation with someone today too, and I was listening to him talk. And he was like, men will say this, and then women will say this, and then the trans will get involved, and then it will be this, and the Democrat. And I was like, I just listened to him, and then I said, I thought you said you weren't very political. And he goes, well, I'm not. And I was like, I just listened to you go on for several minutes about something that you said doesn't matter to you. And here you go. Are you sure it doesn't matter to you? And then he went off about how, well, it seems like there's a war on men right now. And I was like, do you feel that way? Because I'm not going to get into an argument back and forth on how someone feels. That's ridiculous. Let him feel how he feels. But also, I was kind of like, you brought this to my doorstep, bud. I did not go asking for it. You started the conversation. Where do you think this is going to go? And he's a friend.
But
So I'm like, that's fun. That I keep cutting out.
She
That's
looks
fun.
saucy right there.
I know,
I
right?
I always look saucy.
That-
I always look super fresh and saucy. No, what I'm saying is I don't have a true problem with labels that are used for information, but as soon as they're used for divisive tactics, we are getting so far away from spirituality that we have very little hope of getting back. It's like the whole earth dims.
And truthfully, a lot of those reasons are the reasons that I like looking into starseeds, because like just this week, like we were talking earlier, I found out I'm part Arcturian, and I got to deep dive into what that meant. But then there's parts of like reptilian in there that I've had a couple lives with that kind of play into that. And it's so all inclusive. I mean, look at all the millions of past lives that I could have had and the knowledge that comes behind that. And it finally makes you feel like you're above the labels because you have so many of them.
Mm.
Right. And I think once you get to the point that you can recognize the benefit from each of them too, right? Because I've been multiple lifetimes, I tend to like Palladian the most, right? But that's something that I agree with the most, but I don't discount the rest of them. And I think as soon as we can recognize that titles are to be respected in all aspects, but one's not better than another, and we need all titles to make humanity work. And that's when we'll start growing again.
Mm. I think we are growing. It's just slower than we would like. I mean,
Well,
I was
and-
promised flying cars by now.
Time is also weird for starseeds too, though. So
I was just going to say, how many of us have had past lives where we were with Atlantis and things were going so quickly that they're like, all right, we got to kind of cut it down because like this was not how fast we wanted you guys to be able to ascend, right?
Mhm.
And so now we're in a lifetime where it's like actually slow down, and based on the Cryon books, they're like, this is actually a really good pace. We like you here. And all of us are like, come on, right? Like, this is so slow.
I love Sharon's commentary on the side, by the way. I wish you guys could see, like, I wish all the listeners and all the viewers could see the commentary that Sharon in the producer role has on the side. That's the second time I've heard that today. It was a joke. Maybe there is. She's, I'm always trying to stay focused. She's just over here having a conversation with herself. It's okay. It is okay because you're highly entertaining and I freaking love you. So I was hoping we could dive a little bit into the different types, like the most popular that most people understand and relate to of off-worlders that come here, knowing that most of us have experience in all, that most of us have at least had a life or two as each other throughout the main 7-ish. Now, I don't know the names for all of them, so before you start yelling at me, I'm not good with names. If you want me to read you and you're like, what was my grandfather's name? I have fucking no idea. Joe? I don't know. It's
Grandpa.
awkward. It's quite literally the worst part of my gifts. It is the biggest weakness I have. I'm horrific with names, and whenever I try to grab names from the other side, Spirit's like, we don't actually
Hello.
have names over here.
it's like she's singing.
I
Here it
know,
is.
right? There we are. Hello.
I'm going to stop talking during this podcast now. I just keep freezing. This is so stupid. Not for nothing. I pay out the nose for fucking internet. And for it to not work is really frustrating. Anywho. Tiff, why don't you start talking about them since I keep fucking freezing?
Let's start with Pleiadians. Who likes that one? Go ahead, Spencer.
There's just always been something, and I've been super quick this lifetime to like go and research and figure out, and the more I find out about like it being more of a matriarchy and them being more guided by emotions and how they are very motherly in a way, right? And they're very caring. And I don't know, I get weirdly defensive when people go off on empaths and stuff, or not liking to feel feels, right? And I feel like that is just where I've gotten all mine. Like, and that's where I've gotten my love for the empathy side and understanding how to care for each other and stuff. And some of the research shows that like they were asked specifically to come to humanity because of their progression on their own planet and the thousands of years that they've had ahead of humanity. They were asked like, hey, y'all are bomb ass people, let's go to humanity and help them out, right? So I don't know, I love them. I'm gonna go have a beach vacation after I'm done with Earth. I'm gonna go back there and be like, all right, I'm gonna come back and relax where people have their shit together, or beings have their shit together.
You know who I get that feel off of? And it's probably like not right, but well, maybe not right. Just my experience is the reptilians. And I always hear like them get this really bad rap, but to me, like I see them like with a cool leather jacket on, and they're like, everything's cool, man. Like, calm down. And they're just calm, and they feel their feels, and they're just there to experience. And I absolutely love that.
I'm a huge fan of reptilians and all that they did for humanity, especially in the beginning. Like, humanity was absolutely and utterly under the rule of the red-haired giants. And that was a mess. Total mess. And then in come the reptilians and are like, hey, you guys don't have to listen to them. Just want you to know it's a choice. And humans went, wait, we don't? And they said, yeah. So to help you like not feel like that anymore, let's help you with those feels and relax you out and teach you some meditation. And while we're at it, you should probably know that that red stuff needs to stay in your body. You should probably cover that with something clean. Make sure you don't get an infection. They were really big into medicine and meditation and emotional control. I think that's where the bad rap came from, though, is their methods probably seemed very cold to a lot of humans. And they were here for so long. They were here until the Ice Age. When the Ice Age came, that's when they died out and decided not to come back to humanity. It's too hard for their bodies to survive here. Kind of wondering with the Earth heating up if they're going to come around. Thoughts? Y'all are quiet.
I hope so. I think they'd be a good fucking time.
Could you imagine?
I mean, let's be honest, like everyone's going to be a lot better than humans after we've been here a few lifetimes. Oops.
I was thinking about that today. It's really bugging me that like they're projecting by 2025 we are going to lose the ocean currents. And that is going to be horrifically devastating to this planet. Like, what are we going to do? And I'll just sit here thinking, how is humanity going to do this? How are they going to find a way out of it? How are they going to fix this? I know that there's plenty of people who are pulling trash from the oceans and reducing their carbon footprint. And
They're going to have to stop being divided, essentially. That's the only way. That's always been the only way. If you ever, I may not be able to talk a lot about Starseeds, but I do know that with humanity in history and looking at it, when push comes to shove, they will stop being divided. And they will actually pay attention to what's in here, and that listens to what's out there. And so it will eventually get better. But that's what's going to have to happen. It's one of the oldest sayings in history. Divide and conquer. It's really easy to do that. You divide and split things up, it's really easy to take it out one piece at a time and destroy it. So we're going to have to pull together. And maybe that's what it is for Starseeds, is to help teach them and say, hey man, you can't do this by yourself here. We're going to work together, and you can't be like this to other people here, because it's not going to work. We know. It's not going to work. It hasn't worked. You're going to have to turn it around somehow.
For that to happen, there's going to be something, has to be something huge, right?
It usually is.
Right? It's like at an intersection with no stop sign or stoplight, right? Like a death has to happen for the city to take it serious.
Yeah.
So what is that going to be for humanity?
That's the part that I don't know. That's the part that usually has me a little bit unnerved a bit, is what is it going to take for our society to see what's actually happening in the world around them and the world within them? Because half of them, more than half, maybe don't even know that.
The whole goal of evolution is unity.
Yeah.
Everybody is so focused on their own selves, their own path, and looking internally that they're missing the entire bigger picture. That the only way to proceed forward is as one group.
Yeah.
That's what Lemuria was. Lemuria was a small group of people who lived, worked, mated with each other, made babies and offspring and everything, but they were together, tight, not in a gross way. But they did that because that's the fastest evolution of humans. That's the fastest way to evolve, is in small, tight groups that are there for the same common reasoning. And that same common reasoning for them was the evolution of human species.
Yep. Awesome. Love it. She'll be back with us in a moment. And head turn.
Damn it.
Tiffany finished your sentence, so you're good. Pick up.
Yay, I finished my sentence before I froze again. This is so great. I'm having so much fun here. I love technology on this planet. It always works so well for me, and it's never a problem ever.
Oh.
So much fun. I'm having so much fun with this.
Yeah.
I think we are kind of starting to see the big changes, though, and it's not going as fast as we would like. And a lot of us who are informed or have the knowledge of previous lifetimes, we're like, why is this happening again? Right? But there are big changes happening. And I think COVID was kind of that start of it, right? We're starting to realize oh, no, we have to get back to the togetherness and stuff. And I think the feel of people starting to realize that we have the power, the government doesn't have the power. It's still taking people a minute to understand that, but we're getting there. They're getting there eventually. But I think what just makes me nervous, and just thinking back about history and stuff like that, it really does end up costing thousands of lives for humanity to make the big changes, like World War II, right? The world was kind of together after that, but then we quickly fell back to our nations of we're better than you, we're the top nation in the world, right? And so I'm always just kind of scared of what is it going to take? What's it going to take?
And how long is it going to take? Are we going to run out of time?
Right.
Right. Yeah, that's a concern.
That is a concern, because how many times has humanity been restarted? where just a small amount are left behind to carry it on. I know that there's a huge spiritual push for that not to happen right now. So I'm hoping that more and more of us are sharing divine intervention and intuitive sparks of action that help us. Like, how many of us say we don't remember our dreams?
I don't remember them at all.
Nope, me either. But I still wake up in the morning knowing I have left a fucking boardroom meeting, that some shit has happened. So I wake up in the mornings, do not remember what I dreamt, but I know we did some work. A lot of people are starting to feel this way. They're not remembering their dreams. And I'm hearing this more and more and more. I don't remember my dreams. I don't remember my dreams. Suddenly I'm not remembering, because you're not supposed to, baby. Because you're not supposed to. If you remember them exactly when you wake up, you're so overwhelmed. Holy shit. You're going to lose your rag. We remember them in pieces as we come into those situations now.
Mhm.
Because it's more about, it's not necessarily implanting thoughts, because it's not like they come from an outside source. It's more like a push and an awakening of a certain mentality that leads toward a hopefulness from humanity. It can be as simple as remembering to bring in a glass jar when you get the bulk stuff instead of a plastic bag. It can be carpooling. It can be the decision to stop working with a certain company completely because they don't align and you don't like what they're doing. It's individual decisions happening on a mass scale.
That's an interesting concept, because if it's individual little bitty things every single day happening on a mass scale, soon it will be massive. And that's where we need to be. But it has to be consistent. You can't run into those that would, like you were talking about earlier, that would say, "You sure about that?" You can't let them take that. Like, it has to be that consistency.
And I think that's why it's happening en masse right now,
Yeah.
is so that when that happens, it's like plan B is activated. Because I think they know people go like this.
Mm-hmm.
They go up and down and in and out of things, because nobody can be perfect all the time.
No.
We're still human here.
Yeah.
So I think they do it en masse, because, like, if you think about it, you have 35 people in a room all sharing the same goal. They're all working to finish a puzzle on the floor. It's a huge puzzle. If somebody stops to go to the bathroom, the puzzle putting together doesn't stop just because one person has stopped to go to the bathroom. The 34 out of the 35 are still working. I get that feeling. That even if someone someday gets some takeout in a plastic container, there's still the rest of that group that have said, no, I'm not getting takeout. And if I am, I'm going to bring my own containers.
But there's also a piece of it that has to be challenging others' belief systems. At some point, we need to be comfortable having the uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need to be violent and it doesn't need to be aggressive, but it could be simple as asking a single question that will start a new line of thinking in somebody else's brain. That's why we have to be so vocal here and bring up these topics and have these discussions, because they need to reach many more people to start thinking in a different manner.
And tell me that that's not the goal of Starseeds.
I've actually been sitting here and it popped in my head. That's why we have titles. That's why we have groups, though, is so we can call out the people. And so it goes back to the guy that Andrea was talking about being like, men are under attack right now. Yeah, well, men are assholes and they got to fix some shit. Right? And like those are those hard conversations that we need to have.
Actually, what I said to him was, well, I think y'all have had a good run. I think it's time for someone else to have a turn.
Right. That's the thing is like maybe that is why we have titles and that's why we do change things because like hey this group of people men figure your shit out because you're holding us back now, right? And unfortunately they're the hardest ones to change. Like they're holding us back and like you said Andrea, like let someone else have a chance at it. I don't know.
Gotta share. It's like literally the number one thing we learn in kindergarten, to share.
Right.
I think I truly feel and believe that that is the goal of Starseeds, is to come in and present a radical new way of living that the very existence of them challenges the status quo.
I think that's a good way to put it.
That's my entire personality.
Yes.
Can I just tell y'all how many times I have seen 55 today? It's 7:55 right now. I saw 6:55. I saw 5:55. I saw 4:55.
Wow.
I'm
It's
seeing
5:55 where I am.
I'm seeing 55 for weeks, and I'm like, bring on the change already then. Fast positive change. Let's go then. Bring it on. Oh, I wonder if today was part of that. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yep.
It was. Okay. So there was that answered. Never mind. Ask and ye shall receive. It is that simple. Ask a question. Spirit's going to answer. Any question. How we feeling, babies? I think that was a bingo card, actually. I think that was part of the bingo cards. Is how's everybody feeling? So in saying that, how are we living in a radical new way that challenges the status quo? I know for me, I'm a single mom. I'm an overweight woman. I'm in my 40s and I'm a business owner. Every single one of those things about me challenges the status quo. Never mind the fact that I'm comfortable and confident in my body. I feel really good about myself. And I wear whatever the fuck I want to wear whenever I want to wear it. It's appropriate, but sometimes it pushes the boundaries because that's what I'm comfortable in. Because I have weirdness when it comes to clothing. But as I go around my town and people say, oh, what do you do? I'm a psychic. I teach people how to use their gifts. And I just live my life. But I don't do it afraid. And I don't do it quiet.
I like to challenge the status quo. I like to ask those hard questions. I like to play devil's advocate, even if I don't believe in the opposing belief system, just because I want to get people thinking in an opposite direction. I have no problem having those difficult discussions.
I don't know that I challenge the status quo. I don't know. Like I don't.
You're a redhead. Start there.
Yeah, I know. Well, I get all the time as a redhead. Very nice. All right. Yeah. Redhead. I don't think about it like that though. I guess like I don't know when you actually call it out. Like if you say that to go against like the status quo, my first response to you would be, well, I teach kids to think differently, right? But once you mention the fact that I'm redheaded, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm redheaded, overweight, in the South, gay as all get out, not approved by the family. Like just every you list it, you name it, done. I do like. Are we still on TikTok? Okay,
Yeah, a
I
little
don't know if I can say all that. So there's a lot of things that
bit. I say that on TikTok.
yeah, there's a lot of things that
Some stuff.
yeah that goes against the status quo. But I didn't think of that first. I was just like, Yeah, and what is the deal with the redheads? I don't understand. Like, what?
We had this discussion, Charity. I explained it.
I have a soul, Tiffany.
I have a
Oh,
soul.
one at least. Plus all the others that are marked.
She's got a jar of them on her nightstand.
I got
God.
souls.
I got a jar of dirt. She's got a jar of souls. Hey, that'd be a great way to reduce, reuse, recycle. You could just. I use mine for powdered drinks, and I use this one for water. But feel free to use them for soul collection as well. They work great, and they last forever.
Do you bring your jar of souls in from the full moon?
No, I
Make
love
sure
it.
you charge your souls under the new moon, Spencer.
Oh, right. Dang it.
So put your souls out tonight, guys.
That's actually tomorrow, though. So, like, don't forget.
Hey, you can feel it 3 days before or 3 days after, and the souls don't mind.
They're just happy to be claimed.
They really are. It's
And
fine.
redheads are just happy to have at least one.
Be included. Just happy to be here.
Oh,
Holy crap. I'm sorry about all the coughing, you guys. I have recently found out that I am now allergic to cigarette smoke and vaping smoke. I don't vape or smoke, but my friends do. And I went to a concert with them, and there was tons of it everywhere, and I left going, so my bad. Yeah, as Sharon just put in the chat, no purgatory for these souls, no babies. Charity's got it.
done for. Yeah.
What about you, Spencer?
I'm kind of like, for a second there, I was like, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm really all that different. But then I realized I'm a male that chooses to work with kids and hopes to help prevent them from turning into adults that are idiots, right? Like, and I'm slowly accepting me for who I am and shining my light as Spencer and not as what humanity wants me to be, and being okay with that, and really hoping that other people can see that and accept that for themselves too. Like, being the little brother energy that I am, right? And just being me and doing it with love. I think that kind of messes with the status quo sometimes. Like, I feel like a lot of humanity has conditions on what they do for each other and stuff, but if we are able to do it unconditionally and with love, you're fucking stuff up. Right? You're messing with how people live. Because how many of us have actually been like, hey, someone just did something for me and it was unconditional and I don't know how to react now, right?
Oh, amen. Yeah.
I went through that last week. I was hiking with someone, and they extended their hand to help me. And I was like, what are you doing? It was that simple.
It's true, though. Yeah. It's a very good point. I think sometimes people are more afraid of love than they are me collecting their soul in a jar. No, I'm serious. Swear to God. Tiffany, you brought to this, right?
It is true, though.
It's true. They'd rather me just take your little soul and put it on a jar of a shelf than to actually accept love, Spencer. I think you're right.
I'll volunteer for that one. I do. I'm volunteer for that one. I'm working on it. Spencer, have you seen the chat? We need more Spencers in the world. Go Spencer. Spencer for president.
Ugh, no.
Katie said, now on my Etsy shop, soul in a jar. Oh, that's lovely, Krista. I think we have done a really good job tonight talking about starseeds, and obviously going off topic because we do that. Somebody's trying to walk my office. So I want to appreciate everybody who came out to listen to Sweet Release Healings, another episode of the Round Table. Thank you so much, Spencer, Charity, and Tiffany for being part of this. And thank you, Sharon, for being an amazing producer. I hope everybody has an amazing, wonderful, lovely evening. And if you need us, you can listen to us next on all the grams and all the things, all the places with Sweet Release Healings Roundtable After Dark, where we drop the rest of our filters and get off TikTok so we can say whatever we have to say. I love you all and have a beautiful evening.